gonna add some shadow on the roots of her hair. Does it look ugly? Yes, but trust me. Hello. Today, I partnered up with Clip Studio Paint to bring you Kooleen's secret drawing techniques so you can avoid doing them, or you could follow it. I don't really care. Now, I'm using Clip Studio Paint Pro so you can follow along with that, baby. First step, canvas size. This is very important. You want your drawing to look pixelated and disgusting? No. This is what most beginners overlook. When you're making a new drawing, always make sure that your drawing has at least 1000 pixels, and that's like the bare minimum, okay? I use 3000 by 3800 pixels right now. Second step, references. Now, when you're finding a reference, the less expression they got, the better. No expressions equals hotter face. That's the way it is. I don't make the rules. The first thing I like to do is do a basic sketch. Just draw a bunch of chunks, okay? Literally nobody cares. Now, it looks ugly, I have to confess. But when you're doing your sketch, you want to make it as hurried as you can. Focus on the bigger picture. What you want to focus on is the shapes and like the flow. Afterwards, that's the time that you yassify. What I do is that I erase using a soft brush and then just draw over my sketch. Now, you can just create a new layer and lower the opacity of your sketch, but that's too easy, man. I am a boomer. Okay, so this is the time that you refine your sketch. You need to yassify the artwork. Oh yes. Now, here are a couple tips and tricks that I use to work faster despite being a boomer. Now, if you have a reference of, let's say, a background or a color palette, you can basically just open a window, drag and drop, and then shazam! You now have this floating window thingy that you can put your references in. Why Alt-Tab when floating window exists? Am I right, babies? Now, for my tools, I use a single brush to do everything. Let me tell you, your art style changes every time you use a different brush, so choose wisely. This is the brush I use. It is very smagzy. I promise you guys, it is silky smooth, very nice blending. Now, this bad boy, I use it to sketch, blend, and outline. However, for the coloring, I use this. This is the enclose and fill tool, and let me tell you, it is so hot. You will just select a part you want to color, and then shazam! W coloring. With this, I usually only finish the flat coloring in like 5 minutes. Now, in case you want to do it manually, we also have this bad boy right here, which does the exact same thing, except it doesn't go inside the lines anymore. All the tools are in the description, by the way, so click below. Okay, enough talk. Let's color this baby up. When you want to color like Kooleen, you gotta use the little vampire colors, alright? You want to make sure that your characters look like they are anemic, because that is the Kooleen aesthetic, you know? This is the color palette that I usually work with. Very muted colors. So like, I put the skin color and then use a soft eraser to erase the outline softly to make it smoother and smegzier. It's gonna look less cartoony that way. So to compensate for the muted flat color, I like putting a lot of blush. Like I said, vampire aesthetic. Don't forget the juicy lips. Then we're gonna go ahead with the airbrush to basically make everything softer. The airbrush is also a major Kooleen tool. Me and airbrush are in a long-term relationship at this point because I cannot live without it. Another tool that I like using is not a tool at all. It is actually just erasers. Now, if you press this button right here, you can turn any brush into an eraser. For example, my favorite custom brush, I can use it to erase just like that. Now, there are a lot more tools that you can use, but it's all just personal preference at that point. Next, we got blending modes. This is especially helpful if you're stupid like me, because you don't have to know a whole lot about color theory, alright? All you need to do is press this little button right here, and depending on what you want to achieve, it does the work for you. So I use 3 blending modes. First is multiply mode, which I use for shadow. I usually go for this light red, so if you have multiply mode on, it's gonna act as a shadow layer, right? So we've got the skin, and it's just casting a shadow. For this drawing, the lighting is above. So I put a shadow on her neck, and then on her forehead, just below her hair, and just a little bit on her nose. But this is where it gets good. Listen guys, I am an absolute sucker for the add glow layer. Look at this. Do you see what this does? So I'm using this little urine yellow color, and it basically looks like really strong light on her nose. It's just a little triangle, you know? And as you notice, there's some red surrounding the light. That's what add glow layer does. But there's another variant of this, and it is the color dodge. This is basically the edgy version of the add glow tool. You can see the difference here. I don't know why, but it manages to look edgier, but I'm all for it. I love edgy. I'm an edgelord. So now that we've got those out of the way, I'm gonna show you guys how I render the face. The first thing I do is yassify the eyes, because eyes are usually what people focus on first. I'm putting this light color and then blending it out. It helps with shaping the eyes. Okay, so let's airbrush the eyes just a little bit, just so it doesn't look crusty. And now let's do the bottom lashes. Just basically do these two lines, and you're basically just gonna repeat that, baby, for the lower lash line. Okay, so let's do the same for the left eye. Okay, so now it's looking a bit awkward. We're gonna give the eyes definition. Just make the lower lash line thicker like this. Also, I'm just gonna define the juicy lips. If you want a softer and juicier look, just use the airbrush to define. Okay, so I'm just gonna color the clothes real quick and then let's do the hair. For the hair, I airbrush a darker color for that gradient look. And because I have a short attention span, let's pause that for a second and go back to the face. Let's define the double eyelid because it's looking a bit weird. Basically, I'm just gonna make the line thicker to define it more and then fill it with color using the brush. Also, what is up with that nose? Okay, always make sure that everything is blended smoothly, baby. Just use this airbrush once again to smoothen the shadow on her nose, just like that. Okay, so let's go back to the hair. I'm gonna add some shadow on the roots of her hair. Does it look ugly? Yes, but trust me, okay? The point is that hair is coming from the middle, so we're gonna make it seem like it's curving. So we're just adding more shadows just like that. And now for the fun part, which is the juicy hair highlight. I put it on top like this. There's a bunch of random strokes along the curvature of her head or whatever. It gives the illusion that the hair is indeed curvy and thick. So I'm using my brush as an eraser to just define the highlight. Very useful, you see. So I'm doing the exact same thing I did a while ago to the lower part of the hair. So I just lowered the opacity of the shadow and then just added the highlight once again. Listen, it's not about the details, bro. It's about how good it looks from afar. Okay, so let's just add some more definition because we still kind of need details, even just a little bit. Alright, Picasso. Now let's do the clothes. Now, when you're drawing clothes, bro, zoom out. We're gonna draw these shapes just to add definition to the clothing, but that's kind of it, man. I don't like putting too much detail on the clothes. And then I'm just liquifying it. In case you guys didn't know, Clip Studio already has the liquify tool. It's really saved my life, okay? I'm never going back to the non-liquify life. Okay, so for the final touch, let's add stray hair just to make things look a bit realistic. And let's put a soft light on the shadows. So here's a bonus tip. If you want to add a background, make sure to turn on border effect first so you can clean up on your sketch. See? Easy peasy. So I'm just gonna do the background real quick. The only thing I want to say about this, don't add too much detail. Alright, Picasso. So you've finished your drawing, right? Wrong. Here are a couple tips on how to make it really pop. First, I blur the background with a Gaussian blur. Then I blur the character, just the parts that I don't want to bring attention to. Then I put a light above, just like this. I use either add glow or color dodge, depending on how edgy I want my drawing to be. Then I add a multiply layer to darken the lower part. Oh, and I also added a heart in her eyes because it's cute. And then I added the juicy lips, obviously. Need I explain? Okay, so I ended up using color dodge as the lighting above. Let me know what y'all think. Alright, so now we're done. By the way, if you want to look back on your art, Clip Studio automatically records the time-lapse for you. I watched the time-lapse to look at my art from a fresh perspective and look at the mistakes I made. Okay, so here is the full speed paint. So I hope you guys learned how to draw like Kooleen. Hopefully you will avoid these tips, because why would you want to draw like Kooleen, am I right? Anyway, thank you Clip Studio for sponsoring this video. Watch this video next and I'll see you there. Stay cool.